Hi, I'm Yapo, and with me again is Kit,
Hello.
and we're watching more Mad Max. The thread voted, as I recall, it was 3 for Death Rattle and 3 for... I don't remember. We're picking Death Rattle. It was the first vote, so that's what we're going with.
I'm a little shattered. I was really going for the first car on this one, but the people have spoken.
So, this doesn't actually, really affect anything, but I haven't actually never used the Death Rattle, because I always pick a fastback-looking thing instead of the giant, cruiser.
It's that gone in 60 seconds syndrome.
Something like that. So, we haven't seen these kinds of enemies before. There's no way to stop them, and they have a knife. So you just have to dodge out of the way. And then you can
It's
steal
all
them.
like sand people, is what I'm getting out of this.
These are the Buzzard faction, I believe. Yeah. So there's a couple different factions in the game. It really doesn't matter whatsoever. But they all kind of have a distinct aesthetic, and they kind of have... All their cars have distinct aesthetics as well. So, this is what you can do when you steal a knife, is just shank the shit out of somebody.
Always appropriate, specifically in post-apocalyptic.
But if you look at the bottom right corner, I can only carry one of them at a time. So, I try... When I play personally, I try to never use them, but I'm going to try and kind of throw them in here and there just to make things more interesting.
Well, I would say it definitely changed that fight up a little bit. I mean, being able to just shank somebody straight away and get them out of your way.
And then, more loaded gun shenanigans. Just beat off a winch with our gun, don't mind.
Kicking over ladders.
I don't remember if we talked about it before, but if you haven't noticed yet, everything that's interactable for movement in this game is painted yellow in some capacity.
I completely overlooked it.
But all the ladders are yellow, the outline of that winch was yellow, there are little climb up things that are yellow. So it's a really nice way that still kind of blends in to be able to see where you're supposed to go and see what you're supposed to be able to interact with.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I mean, it was so subtly done, but once you know to look for it, I'm sure it's actually pretty helpful. Rather than going with the mash the action key around every object that you think might be interactable.
So yeah, we can shoot out gas tanks on cars, and they explode like it's Hollywood.
Again, Michael Bay directs Mad Max in a video game.
So we can also do the side ram, which is what it's trying to teach us to do here, which is really difficult to control because you have to mash your control stick over the whole way when you do the side mash, so you end up unless your reaction time is really good, and if you miss, you end up turned all the way around, and it's not my favorite. Maybe I'm just bad at this game. It's entirely possible.
Now, notice Chum, despite all odds, managed to fit this frame on the car, no problem, just quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he did it in the time it took us to beat up those guys, because he's a cool bro. So this is the other really nice part about the Magnum Opus, is if you do a bunch of stupid stuff, you can just stop and have him climb on the hood and repair it.
He's a top bloke.
Take a minute, admire your car. I also like that they had to put, mesh panels on the front, because it's not flat, so he could hang out to go repair things for us. All the other cars have, a flat hood, so you can just be I'm just gonna hang out on here, but I had to do this one outright.
Well, it's convenience right there.
So we're still kind of in tutorial land. Basically all of Chum's area is, this is how you play the game. But we're getting there. We got our car with a body on it at least, so that's a start.
I'm really digging the environment in this game. Just the driving, being able to see so far in the distance. That's just one of those little touches for me that really just makes it.
And for whoever asked in the thread, there you go. See, patched up the dog for you left. It's even got a little doggy cast on. So look, he's laying on the chairs right there. He's fine. I just realized I'm gesturing at my monitor to show things off and no one can see me. So... Fuck you and your scrap, Chum. I hate it. I hate you. Why can't you just put this shit together?
Well, I noticed it has to be a particular kind of scrap as well, because we drove by so many broken down vehicles on the way, but that scrap was not the premier scrap that we're looking for, apparently.
Yeah, it's all like random like crankshafts laying on the ground, or like I think there's like a radiator fan hanging up with like an engine block over here. Or no, it's a wheel, a radiator fan, and a shock, I guess. That's the good scrap.
So that's the key in post-apocalyptic society. Really be sure to save all of your like fans and wires, because that's what's going to be important. The more you know.
And he's keeping the tip for the harpoon in his bunk for reasons.
Just as you do.
Which I don't really know why they make you go over here and do this. This seems just like, I don't know. I don't get it. Aside from his giant tire hammock.
I bet that would be comfortable. You know, he's got good lumbar support there. It works for him.
But yeah, and all these, heaping piles of cars in here that, no, we can't use that scrap.
Got the jag tip.
It's not the premium.
This is our upgrade menu, by the way. We can upgrade a bunch of different stuff on the car. And it kind of gives us the stats there from baseline and then for speed, acceleration, and handling and stuff. So anytime you put like armor or ramming stuff on, it drops your handling and acceleration down because you weigh more. But it's one of those trade-off things.
I'm all about handling when it comes to any sort of driving game. I hate having to try and fuss around. Like if for whatever reason, you get turned around where you don't want to be, I find that just having the higher handling is the way to go.
Yeah, and I was looking at the hood ornaments there because it was like, oh, you've got new hood ornaments and you can just put those on for free, but it lied to me.
It'll be easy with
I think it had a promo where if you have certain Rockstar games, it gives you like Rockstar hood ornaments.
Oh yeah?
So I think it was picking that up, but it still won't let me do it because I haven't hit that point in the mission yet. I believe is why it was doing that to me, but I'm not entirely positive. So now we get to go play around with the harpoon, which is, spoilers, my favorite weapon.
See those metal monsters?
Chum's just along for the ride again.
Bring them down for good. Ramming could damage out front. But it should
So
work.
these are one of the activities, I guess you would call them, for the overall game. These are the scarecrows. We just have to destroy them. I guess it's like, oh, this is showing Scrotus's power, so we just have to take him out. That's all we gotta do.
There you go.
I am not very good at using ramps. Part 1 of who knows how many will end up like that.
Yeah, that looked a bit rough.
But I could always just stop and have him repair it, so,
That's why we bring him along.
So the other thing you can do, now that we have the harpoon, is just harpoon the towers down.
Huh.
Instead of trying to ram your car into them. Which, eventually, we'll get to a point where they're like, you can't ram it because they put a bunch of blocks around it, or you can't harpoon it because it's like too big and you have to do some different stuff. But for the most part... Oh yeah, see, this is the one you're supposed to harpoon because they surrounded it with barricades.
Now, if you ram these, does your car take damage from it?
Usually, the better your ramming guard, the more it protects you. And since we just have the absolute base level ramming guard right now, it's kind of useless.
See.
So the other thing we have to do is we have to go destroy this camp, because it's where Scrotus is getting his gasoline from. Which also, I need some input from the thread on if you guys want to see like all the camps, or if you just want to see like a couple of the different styles, because there's, I think, 4 different styles of camp. They'll have a little bit different objectives and stuff to them. Or if you just want to see this one, and then you're like, no, we're done with this shit. So... Because some of this stuff is hugely boring. I think the camps are interesting, personally, but I don't want to necessarily make a walkthrough of this game if nobody wants to see it.
Gates defended.
I mean, these camps look pretty cool.
Sniper out front.
Yeah, this is another mechanic, is that you can scout the camps out, and it will tell you where all of the defenses are. In this case, there's a flame barrel and a sniper. And inside the camp, there's what's called a war crier.
Camp is light defenses. I'll deal with them.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like that you're able to go scout it out, get a little bit of the information. That way, you can maybe plan a little bit better rather than just, going full bore into a flame cannon.
Oh, we're going to do that anyway.
Oh,
Because
perfect.
we're also just, driving down the hill, because why not? The other nice part with Chum repairing stuff... Oh, yeah, so you can't just pull down buildings, you can also pull down guys.
That is awesome.
So, instead of dealing with trying to knock the tower down, I just pulled out the sniper. Because it's a lot faster that way for, single snipers.
Oh. And now I noticed up at the top you had the camp alerted notification. If you take too long to do all this stuff, is the mechanic you get a bunch of people coming after you because now everybody knows you're there?
So the camp population is pretty well set, but if you alert them enough, they call their buddies in vehicles, and you get a bunch of vehicles rolling up on you. And so you get kind of pinned in, and there'll be up to 10 cars that pull up behind you, and then guys, of course, jump out and come in to fight you as well. So that's a war crier. That's you don't have to do that. There are actually every single one. There's a winch somewhere where you can drop them and still make them explode. But most of the time, I'll just run in and shoot them immediately, because if you let the war crier go enough that these guys get buffed, they hit like trucks.
Now I've noticed if you just properly time the reaction command, you're pretty safe.
Yeah, you don't take
from
any
a lot of the
damage
incoming damage.
if you do a perfect parry. But it's harder than it seems to do a perfect parry, just because if you accidentally start a heavy attack and someone starts attacking you, the timing gets off, because you can't interrupt your heavy attack to do a parry, and the light attacks don't do shit. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things.
I guess that's the trade-off there. Either take forever to kill them or lower your defenses.
So we can find these two all across the wastelands. They're history relics. This one is related to Max. This is a picture of, we don't know who, presumably his wife and child. But you can find other people's signs and stuff, and from their business, and pictures of them, and all sorts of weird stuff.
See, that's not something I recall from the movie. Him with a little girl.
And camera angles, because,
That was awful.
usually it's not that bad. I have noticed, playing again recently, that it really doesn't like ramps. Anytime you're on a slope surface, it does not appreciate that. So there was one, too, where I got in the middle of a heavy attack when somebody was attacking me, and it's just nope.
So with the perfect parry, is it just any time that circle is up if you hit the appropriate button?
So anytime that circle is up and you hit the parry button, you'll do a regular parry. You have to wait until that circle is exactly the size of the parry button to do the parry.
Ah.
So it's just kind of a timing thing.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more interesting.
This is one of the main objectives for camps, is destroying Scrotus's insignia. The giant thing he wears as a belt buckle. But he's got little logos all over the camps. So if you really
gotta put your brand out there.
Yeah, if you really want to 100% stuff, you have to destroy those. And 100%ing things is important in this game because of a mechanic we'll get into, I think, right after this camp. I'll explain a little more. But you actually do have to, I'm not going to say have to, you really need to 100% stuff to really finish this game. And to be...
That was an aggressive sandstorm.
Well, he's a big Darude fan.
Now it all pieces together.
Or that creepy guy with the giant backpack, which I don't know how he got over there, but probably creepy dude powers. So I guess I was expecting there to be a lot more guys down here. I'm just like, oh, there's no fight. Okay.
Well, the Warcry was beating him up, trying to get him to come to the top.
I guess that's true. They
He
probably
just flushed him out.
all heard him, and they're like, oh, we got to go up there and deal with this guy. So this is all, again, still tutorial, just like this is how you deal with this. Eventually, some of these things will get, like, ridiculously hard to find, and in, like, really crazy spots where you have to just do some shenanigans to get to them.
But 24 scrap, that was 100% worth it right there.
Yeah, no doubt. I was telling Kit before we started the call, there are a few non-essential, basically small scavenging areas where you can find scrap. There's no point in showing off because it's largely the same thing every time. But I found 1 scrap in one of them. And then I went to a second one and I found 2 scrap total in the whole place.
That sounds 100% worth it.
Yeah. But I did 100% those locations by doing that, so that actually does help a small bit.
Is that guy walking through the sandstorm with that backpack on? Because if so, kudos to him.
He's got strong legs, that's for sure.
Well, you'd have to.
Maybe he's just extra dense. So we have a Fury mechanic. I mean, it's like any other game. You build up Fury meter, you can do all sorts of special stuff when you're angry. Perfect parries and heavy hits and longer combo chains build your Fury meter faster. And there's our first Achievo. So we filled our Fury meter in 60 seconds. We can also powerbomb people in Fury mode, so totally worth it just for that.
So this Fury counter, is that like... Now, I remember last time we talked about you could purchase like skills and different combat mechanics. Does the Fury meter play into that at all?
Yeah, I believe there's a few skills that you can purchase that only work when you're in Fury mode.
Okay.
But for the most part, the skills are like... there's an extra shotgun skill, I know, that like lets you do a shotgun finisher, like you do a shiv finisher. And there's... I took, so one of the first skills that you can take is so you can parry weapons, like people with weapons. Because that's really important to be able to do that. Because the last thing you need is some big guy with an axe just like, nope, you can't parry me, you have to try and dodge me constantly while there's 10 other people around you.
I can't imagine that fight goes well.
Yeah, that's, I think one of the very first things I did when I fired up the game was like, I'm going to take these upgrades because I really need them. So this is an oil pump camp. We just have to destroy the pump.
Now that you've cleared it out, I see no reason to blow it up. You know, this is oil that you could be using for yourself.
Right? Like, move some guys in, hold it ourselves, call it a day.
Yeah. Start your own camp.
That's my thought, become your own Wasteland Warlord, but apparently Max has other ideas. So I cut out a lot of me running around and actually finishing it. Because I did it, and then I realized it was super boring. So, yeah, we're 100% done with this camp. We found all the rest of the stuff we didn't find just running around. Because I decided, like, say, this isn't a walkthrough. You guys don't need to see me running around, smashing my face into things, trying to find that last pile of scrap that I somehow missed. Also, Max can't jump.
Interesting.
There's no jump mechanic. You can climb up in certain spots, and you can, like, do the roll, but... And the other fun one, if you fall off something too tall, you have a limp for a few minutes.
That could get horribly annoying in certain situations.
It doesn't last for very long. It's mostly... I would say it's mostly a visual effect, but I've had problems with, like, oh, wait, there's guys down here. Oh, shit, I can't move. Like...
Yeah.
I can't get to where I need to be to not get attacked by these guys.
Just looking at the environment in and of itself, it is really conducive to the no jump mechanic. One of the big things in speedrunning is getting out of bounds, and if you're like looking at this camp alone, you can see so many opportunities to get where you are not meant to be at all.
I still think it's fairly easy to get around even without the jump.
Yeah.
So I think it's a kind of a good concession to not letting people break the game and being able to tell your story versus the mechanics of actually playing the game. Which also interesting. This game has no walls.
I'll do this in
You can drive as far as I think it actually has a cliff on one side, so you can't go that way. But the other three directions you can drive as far as you want.
So we're talking big rigs over the road trucker here, where you can just keep going.
Yeah. The problem is there's no gas out those directions, so you can only get so far. And eventually your car will run out of gas, and eventually you'll run out of water, and you will die. But you can, go that way if you really want to.
I wonder if they've got any like Easter eggs out there, like, pushing it to the very limit allows you to
Find something out there.
Yeah.
So we finally ran into the guy with the pack.
Here you are, shifter of sands, letter of blood, remnants of a ruined past. You say you seek the plains of silence, but do you not wander them right now? The remains of your life, a perpetual flight, an escape from all that is human, until one day, the plains of silence end, and you begin. You've purpose in this life, my friend, although you fear to dream it. But pain will come, much more pain, before this purpose to you is made manifest. You know nothing of me. Look behind you, at dune after dune of drifting, half-forgotten terrors. You flee them always, these past phantoms, and the madness that crawls inside. You've come to Griffa for a reason, deep inside. Twisted around horrors from which you run lies your strength. Griffa can help. Help you venture down to where you daren't go yourself, and lay bare your true promise.
I always hate prophecies like that, where it's like, oh, life's gonna really suck.
Yeah.
So this is the level up system for Max, provided by Griffa, who doses us with some sort of hallucinogen, presumably, and does some weird, like, Sigmund Freud psychology on us, and it makes us better at life.
Well, if it's whatever he's on, because that story was trippy.
Just showing off. So I take the extra scrap, extra gas, and extra ammo, because those are the things I hurt for most. Eventually you can take actually all of those upgrades. And after he doses us, he just leaves us on a rock.
And can you get more than one level of those upgrades, or is it just...
Yeah, so each of those upgrades has 8 levels, I think. Maybe only 7 or 6. But all those little pips around the outside are levels in that.
Okay.
So I know... So the challenges you saw pop up earlier, and I was talking about for like completing things, are Griffa tokens. And if I could find the page, and these are the challenges for them. So there are a bunch of different challenges. And as you can see on the right hand side, we are level 4, and we are not out of the first like big category yet. So there's a whole lot of leveling to do.
This reminds me a lot of badass points from Borderlands right here.
Yeah, it's a very similar system. But every time we get a new achievement done, basically, we get a Griffa token and we go up in Legend. Now, we can also buy equipment, like we can buy a nicer jacket, and we can buy like knuckle dusters, and we can buy a nicer shotgun, but we have to be at least a certain Legend rank to do that.
Just looking at the names of some of these ranks, spot on with these.
And we'll see a lot more of them pop up later. I just thought I would run through the list as kind of here's how much shit we gotta do.
Spotters.
Except Chum took the car.
What an a-hole.
Where's the car?
because there were a couple cars driving by way down the cliff, so he was like, oh my god. But it's really just a way to introduce us to the summon your car mechanic.
Now, if you're shooting flares up, I would half expect Chum and company to be coming with it.
I mean, that would make sense, but, you know, you gotta have a summon mount mechanic in your Explorer game.
Yes, we do.
So,
It is a necessary convenience.
We've done right.
I will say, later on in this game we unlock fast travel, actually. And anytime you fast travel, you show up with your magnum opus, wherever you fast travel.
I'm always 50-50 on fast traveling options in games. Like, I know it's necessary, but I feel like sometimes it just takes away from the immersion, takes away from the exploration that you actually get to do in the game.
I won't be fast traveling probably hardly at all on video, just because it's such a cool area to run around and explore and for everybody to see. But I do fast travel to go clear these kind of side areas just to get money.
Yeah.
Scrap that I so desperately need. Because yeah, the car upgrades take scrap, your upgrades take scrap except for the Griffa tokens, but everything takes scrap. It's ridiculous.
Now, is that something you're going to be, for Griffa leveling, is that something you're going to invest heavy into?
Well, you have to do, like say, the challenges to get Griffa tokens.
Yeah.
So most of the challenges you'll just naturally complete through playing the game, like getting your Fury meter built up so fast, clearing so many things.
Yeah.
But so I probably won't focus on it. Oh, also I didn't ram the second guy like I was supposed to. I just harpooned him out of the driver's seat.
Sequence break.
Because I really, really love the harpoon. A lot.
It seems really useful.
It's one of my favorite things in this game. But yeah, you can see on the radar there the two yellow squares. Those are the just generic scavenging locations. They've got some scrap. That's pretty much it. Most of them are a tunnel that forms a circle. There's a few
Now,
that
are those
kind of interesting, but for the most part, it's just a complete waste of time.
Are those areas that you can 100%, or is that just...
Yes, so I think one of those has 3 scrap piles and a historic relic. And you actually get an achievement for 100%ing so many of them. So I have been farming Griffa levels that way. And then getting combo strings high and things like that. And, just killing a certain number of faction people and using certain vehicles to kill people and using certain weapons to kill people and using certain moves to kill people. And I know there's one that you have to shiv 30 people and you get a level.
What did I tell you? V8.
It needs a proper Aussie. He's got to have a V8.
8 is the magic number.
I'm just waiting for him to throw the Holden Commodore sticker on the back.
That would be nice. If you that was one of the Easter eggs or something. Oh, you get a Holden body.
Where is it?
Gas town.
Let's go there.
No, wait. You can't just go to Gas Town.
He's got a spark plug spike in.
Let's just go to Gastown. That giant thing spewing fire and smoke that we've been able to see since the start of the game. That's Gastown, by the way. I like too that he's get in the car and shoves him away. So yeah, the buzzards found us after we stole their car body.
They don't seem pleased.
They do not. And I'm glad that sequences like this, they just decided to do cutscene instead of, quick time events or actually try and have you drive out of it.
That seems like it would be a real hassle. Just trying to drive out of it yourself.
Yeah, so get some sick air. And here we get to upgrade max now. Which, okay, now is when I get my combat skills. So you actually have several upgrade options, including your face. I don't think we've locked any new faces yet, but yeah, everything costs scrap.
It would have been a nice mechanic that they, for the chain finishers, the higher you got that multiplier, after you're done with a particular fight, if they give you a little bit of scrap and then based on your multiplier, they give you that much more scrap.
Oh, that would have been swell.
Because it seems like this is one of those games where that would have really fit in well.
That's the thing is, enemies do drop scrap when you kill them occasionally, but it's completely random. And yeah, I'm still rusty at this game. I'm used to, when I stopped off playing, I had not quite, but basically 100% of the game. So I had, all the best everything. I was used to driving that, and it ended badly as I'm trying to go back to the intro level.
Did they just leave the dog?
They didn't have time to get him.
We have the car.
Huh.
We need to go.
They were kind of in a bit of a hurry.
I mean, I understand.
You know,
They didn't even grab the spare gas tank.
By the way, that guy with wearing someone else's face and wielding the knives is Stank Gun.
We can make a deal.
Okay.
He was Scrotus' second in command.
Doesn't sound safe. Is that the best we can do?
I don't think we have a choice, Zane.
At the time.
Oh,
He's not very well liked. I don't know if you noticed, but all their vehicles were like blue and purple.
Yeah.
What is this place?
So that's Stank Gun colors. So anytime you see like the blue and purple, and they'll like the guys will actually like paint themselves blue and purple.
Like everywhere else in this realm,
It's a Stank Gun person.
I see. Now, is there, with the faction system, these are just factions that are going to hate you, yes? Like, there's no getting in good with one faction.
Yeah, no, these are all factions that are trying to kill you.
Okay.
It's just mostly a kind of a flavor and for achievements. So I will try and probably destroy scarecrows just like as I drive by, because there's not much to it, and it's got to be done. And we saw before about threat being lowered. So threat starts out at 5. Right now we're in Jeet's territory, so his territory is at 5. And the car upgrades are based on threat in certain territory.
Okay.
So to be able to unlock the car upgrades, we have to take out all of Scrotus' crap around here. I know the harpoon upgrades are based on Jeet's territory, and there are a few other people who we'll meet who also will have those, but the big thing is we have to do some of these things to upgrade the car. And we got some really thirsty guys wandering around, so we only help them because it gets us a Chivo.
Yes.
I gotcha. Help the random drifters.
Not too long ago.
I think the next level for it is you have to help like 10 of them, and they're all randomly generated except for that one. Oh, and look, while I was out, a car found us. How lovely of him.
You give those guys water, and they just turn and run at the first sign of danger. A little ungrateful.
Yeah, I was like, I should run these guys over. I was like, no, I just gave them water. I should really not run them over. Seems a bit, takesy backsies on that one.
And you've
So,
got the max pain bullet time there, too.
Yeah, that is really nice. So you can, when you hit the aim button, no matter if you're aiming your harpoon or your shotgun or whatever, it slows down so you don't... And basically steers your car straight, so you don't have to try and do everything at once.
That is kind of nice.
It also will highlight whatever you're shooting, so you can easily tell, like, oh, I'm shooting the gas tank, oh, I'm shooting the driver, oh, I'm shooting the tire out, oh, I'm doing whatever.
Yeah, that is really nice.
So you can see we're slowly getting there. We gotta get it down to 0 to fully clear it out, but
Are you saying you can build me?
scarecrows aren't worth a whole lot. Their camps are worth the biggest.
It's not so complex.
So, and the tow cable gets weird sometimes, but gets the job done.
So he's got multiple camps in his territory.
Yes, Jeet has multiple Scrotus camps in his territory because he's been slowly pushed out by Scrotus, basically.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's kind of spoilery, but We're going to go meet Jeet. He lives in the lighthouse because, former ocean.
Where's Jeet, Griffin?
So that's a scrapulance.
No friends nor favors in this
It's like an ambulance, but for scrap. And then I realized I spent like 10 minutes trying to deal with that, and it wasn't entertaining. So we'll see another one, I think, next video where I actually steal one and go turn it in and stuff. But
Now, does that give you a substantial amount of scrap?
yes.
Okay.
So if you hijack it and take it back to a stronghold, it pays out pretty good.
Okay.
But again, they're randomly generated, so you can't just like farm for them.
Yeah. You seem to be on fire.
It's only a little bit of fire. When the car starts getting damaged, it starts billowing smoke and flames. And I did not have a great time fighting that scrapulence because this car is shit right now. I only have the basic engine, the basic suspension, tires, ram bar, all that fun stuff.
Who's your driver? Does he have any knowledge of medicine?
So this is Jeet.
Got some interesting choice of piercings.
That he does.
I'm sorry, but he is a driver of otherworldly skills.
I like how we're just sitting there, just like, whatever.
Need a driver of otherworldly skills.
There's a guy with a bunch of metal tabs shoved in his face, and he's arguing with our mechanic, and we're just like,
All my gear, it was destroyed.
It's a lot to take in.
And we need to heal this machine. If you let us work here, where it is.
But yeah, I do like the touch that he lives in a lighthouse, and that's the fortress is his lighthouse because it's on high ground from all the when it was ocean.
Praise be the prophet.
Let him inside.
Yeah, that would be one place that I would rather fortify. Get the aerial advantage on everybody else.
And he's got a sick drawbridge, so it doesn't hurt.
Massive plus.
So this is his lovely stronghold. Doesn't it look so great?
Little barren, but it's got potential. Clean up that scrap, you'll have a whole lot more room right there, though. Get those rocks out of there. Really opens it up.
I like how sassy Jeet is, too. He's making fun of your titles.
Don't stop. Keep moving, Dune Drifter. Only the big cheese wants to see you.
That and all these guys have guns. We can never, take their, SMGs or anything. We're stuck with their, shitty single-shot shotgun.
That's the flavor of it, though. That's what you want. The sawed-off. That's Mad Max to a T.
I mean, that's true, but I feel like, they're right there. Just like, hey, could I borrow one of those? This would be way easier.
I mean, look at Jeet for flavor. He chooses bow and arrow.
I don't think he actually has a bow, though. At least not on him.
Arrow's just as a design choice.
Oh, and actually we did kill Scrotus. Turns out his throwing us off the giant mover was just his last hurrah.
Okay, I was going to say, that's pretty impressive, him taking a full chainsaw halfway through his head.
Yeah, Jeet says he's dead, but his terror from his, second-in-commands and everybody else is outliving him.
9 times out of 10, the second-in-command is always the worst.
The jaw will change your mind.
What's the jewel?
The gate you gotta pass to reach Gastown. Look for it yourself.
So we tell Jeet, oh yeah, we're going to go to Gastown, and he just laughs at us.
Well, I do. Do we have a deal?
Because Jeet's an asshole.
Yeah. You weaken the influence of that dead warlord. And
That is one thing I do like about Max in general. He is all about making the deal, and he will stick to his guns, whatever it is. He doesn't care.
you should get your little
Bodily harm doesn't bother him. So long as he holds up his end, he really expects you to hold up yours.
I have a deal with Jake.
That's true.
You build me that.
I'll say, because we were talking about it, I went back and rewatched Fury Road recently, and it's just not the same on my little dinky computer monitor.
And I'll get cracking.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same impact.
Have it, Saint. Just help me find the
It's still
requisite part.
excellent, just,
And,
not
some
quite the
kind
same
of a
experience.
trigger mechanism.
Oh, you want a trigger driver? We got some old gun junk in the cage. Take a look.
So now we get to build a sniper rifle, which somehow is a standardized size, so we can find ammo, you know, just everywhere.
I do like that you're getting heckled by Jeet the entire time, too.
Yeah, pretty much the entire time we're in the Stronghold, Jeet will be heckling us. Even if we're not, like, actively talking to him or on a quest. He'll just be like, hey, you do all that stuff for me yet? Hurry up. So, yeah, we don't actually get to carry the sniper rifle. It's big enough it has to be mounted to the car.
So we're talking full-on 50 cal sniper rifle here.
Possibly even larger. You'll see when this thing gets pulled out. But because now, of course, we're still in tutorial, so we got to go test out the sniper rifle
All right.
with some lovingly placed explosive barrels around
Slide
here.
over. Time to put this sniper rifle to the test.
I'm confident it will serve our purpose.
Good
without
night.
fail.
Yeah, I think it's just about as tall as Max's, maybe a little shorter.
Nice balance.
My fingers were
And since you know this
controlled
isn't a shooting game, it does have
by
auto lock and a few of those other lovely features.
I find that sometimes that makes it worse.
It actually works really well in this game. You're not using your sniper rifle for a whole
I
lot,
need a recon.
so
Okay.
and the things
Yeah,
you
they're-
do use it on are relatively stationary usually.
There are a lot of games, you know, where particularly with a pack of enemies at a time, where auto lock can really throw you off, or you have those really weirdly programmed ones where you go to auto lock and it flips you in the opposite direction.
Yeah, most of the auto lock in this one is just like, oh, there's a bunch of snipers up there, I should shoot them before they shoot me. So they, you know, stand relatively still, they're fairly far apart.
That is good programming.
You can use the lens, which, yeah, also, I think it's funny, the sniper's position is indicated by lens flare. You get, blue is just, hey, they're there, yellow is, hey, they're targeting you, and...
So you'll just be driving along and you'll see a little bit of lens flare.
yeah, and then red is the, you're
And
about
you know
to
you've
get
got
shot.
some issues.
Which I think is a neat way to do it, because that way you're not trying to, like, oh my god, where's that sniper coming from? Like, you can see lens flare right there if you look towards the right-hand side.
So like right up there, that's a sniper. Okay.
And you saw the yellow as he's trying to lock on to me. Yeah, and we also just discovered a convoy route,
We're sure to find a convoy.
which is exactly what it sounds like, and we have to take down the convoys. And it gives us cool stuff. So we're alerted to camp because we kind of drove past it there. It's not... We got by fast enough that they didn't call their buddies, so we're good. It's like, no, it's not what I wanted, game. The harpoon lock-on is fairly good, but you have to, like, specifically aim the camera at what you want to lock onto. And we had some Skype issues, so we're back now. My internet decided to not cooperate.
Always the worst.
Basically, Jeet sent us out here so we can go look at the jaw.
I'm really glad that we decided to repair the car.
I see them. I can take
See,
them out.
Chum will actually repair it anytime I just get out,
The long shot.
Oh, here, I have a few rounds.
or just park for a while.
For the size of that sniper rifle, I don't feel like they got knocked back. Okay, the body did fall off the... I'm with it now.
The long shot
I feel like there definitely should have been more of an impact, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a super unnecessarily long barrel, or what, but it's not like excessively large caliber, I guess. It will explode stuff real easy, but I feel like we've already established that things explode pretty easy in this version of Mad Max.
Keep your head
Yeah.
down. I'm gonna take a look.
Yes, please, hurry back.
So there's a guy close enough that apparently Fury Mode triggered, and I'm just like real mad, just running around climbing ladders.
You gotta psych yourself up.
I guess, I don't know.
Before I go anywhere, I always like to really get a little pissed.
Just follow the rage. It's like, where am I going? And of course, you know, if the game tells you to go this way, you gotta go down, because there's things down there to collect.
This seems unnecessarily mazy.
Pretty much everything is unnecessarily mazy, which is part of the reason I won't be showing off a lot of this stuff. Because you don't want to watch me mash my face into corners and trying to remember where I've already been in these buildings for that long.
Have to get a pen and paper and make a map here. This is getting out of control.
And so this is our first shield guy. Turns out shotguns don't work on him.
Yeah, that shield charge seems to do a substantial amount of damage.
Rip. So we're going to try this again, you know, with actual help this time and me hopefully not being an idiot. Going a little better at least.
So they're really trying to push the evade mode here.
Yes. So anytime you see the red over the head is the indication that you have to use evade, that you can't really do anything else. But the evade is a consistent like roll distance, so you can pretty well figure out where you need to be to get away from them and still be able to hit them on the rebound. Melee weapons are really good, by the way, if you can find them. They're fairly rare.
It turns out those wipe those guys out.
And just, you know, because. Shiv Punisher, why not? I like that they specifically modeled it to be sticking through the other side when you bury it in somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and the handle just like stays in there.
Detail.
Like, it's really satisfying, I feel like, to do the Shiv finishers. So we gotta go find this cool lookout spot. Which, again, this is a different lighthouse. But I was hoping I could find the sniper body there because they have sniper rounds and I want them. But they got knocked off, so no dice.
It looks like a dangerous setup right there.
Yeah. So this is the jaw.
Aptly named.
This appears to be the old port. And I was like, oh, look at this sick jump set up for the Scarecrow. And it's got a bunch of cars that patrol around. So we gotta make it through there if we want to get our V8. And I did some more exploring. I was like, oh, I'll go back to the car. Nope. There's no, like, regular fall damage in this game, but you go from nothing to dying. And if you try and go too far, you die.
That is an absolute pet peeve of mine when playing games like this. If you die from a very short fall, like an unrealistically short fall, that absolutely pisses me off.
I wouldn't say it was unrealistically short. I just the depth perception was weird on that spot, and I ended up falling probably like 30 or 40 feet. But
that might be slightly more realistic than I thought in the first place, but there have been other games I've played where it's like you fall off just 2-3 steps and you're dead.
I mean, I feel like it's not the fall damage or the fall distance is a fair ways before it will kill you, but there's no. It's like all or nothing. You either die or you're fine.
Yeah.
Chances of survival grow tenfold.
In the harpoon.
Soon.
So Chum wants us to make one of his angels, which is one of the magnum opuses he's already designed,
Agreed.
Let's return to Jeeps
called the
first.
Jack. So we'll be working on that next time. think. I can't really remember. Pretty sure.
Well, let's hope.
Pretty sure that's what happens next time.